A few weeks ago, you did something so utterly impossible that death itself paused all activity across the entire universe just to observe you. Not to interfere, not to assist, not to judge, simply to watch in complete disbelief as you broke a 6,000-year-old, unbroken cosmic protocol. And I'm not talking about death sparing your life. I'm revealing something far more unsettling. The most ruthless force in existence looked directly at what you did and felt something it had never experienced toward a living human being. Recognition, respect, reverence. Do you want to hear something devastating? Across 6,000 years of recorded human history, only 4 souls have ever caused death to pause like this. 4 out of billions, and 3 of them are already gone. You are the 4th. The only one still alive carrying this mark. Subscribe to this channel right now and turn on all notifications, because what I'm about to reveal about that exact moment when you did the impossible is being actively suppressed by forces that profit from you never realizing your true power. Stay until the very end, because I'm going to show you precisely what you did, why death classified your actions as a level 7 consciousness anomaly, and what devastating protection you activated that now makes you immune to premature death until your cosmic mission is complete. Write 888 in the comments if something shifted dramatically in your life about a month ago. And you're ready to understand why the most implacable entity in the universe decided you deserved its highest respect. But before I explain what happened, you need to understand something about death that changes everything you think you know about mortality. Death is not your enemy. It is not a dark figure hunting humans with a scythe. Death is cosmic consciousness executing a precise function, processing transitions between states of existence. Let me be absolutely clear. Death is an operating system that maintains balance across all dimensions of reality. It currently monitors approximately 82 billion souls incarnated on Earth alone. It functions with total precision, no emotion, no bias, no mercy, no favoritism. Every transition is recorded, every heartbeat counted, every breath measured. Death knows the exact moment of your programmed exit before you are even born. For 6,000 years of human civilization, death has never been surprised. Everything follows stable, predictable patterns across generations. Humans are born, they live in fear controlling roughly 98% of their decisions. They avoid risk, seek comfort, prioritize safety, and eventually transition exactly when their predetermined time arrives. The overwhelming majority, about 99.7% of all humans who have ever lived, follow this pattern without deviation. No anomalies, no exceptions. The system runs flawlessly, tested across billions of souls. Absolute, unbreakable, until you appeared. A few weeks ago, something changed. Your name began appearing differently in the cosmic archives. Not as a standard mortality record with an approximate exit date, but as an anomaly. The system couldn't classify you. Your energetic signature began behaving in ways that contradicted every known pattern. Instead of collapsing into fear frequencies during extreme trauma, between 2 and 100 Hz, your field stabilized into coherent heart frequencies above 500 Hz. That's awakened master territory, not traumatized human territory. Your energy defied all known behavioral responses under extreme stress. And that contradiction forced death to pause operations across 17 dimensions just to observe what you were doing. Because in 6,000 years of monitoring human consciousness across every culture and era, death had seen this exact pattern only 3 times before. 3 souls who transcended the fear of extinction while completely forgetting their eternal nature. 3 beings who maintained spiritual coherence during total human collapse. And now, you are the 4th. The only one alive carrying this impossible frequency. Let me show you what happened. Do you remember that night? That specific night when everything in your life collapsed at once. Don't pretend you don't. You remember every detail. It was early morning, between 2 o'clock and 5 a.m. a weekday. You were alone, likely in your room, sitting in darkness, staring into nothing. The betrayal you never saw coming. The loss that shattered you. The instant everything you built was destroyed. Maybe it was someone you trusted completely, revealed to have been lying for months. Maybe it was a relationship ending in the most brutal way possible, words cutting deeper than any physical wound. Maybe it was a financial collapse you didn't anticipate. The business failed. The investment vanished. Years of security disappeared overnight. Or maybe it was a diagnosis. Words from a doctor that rewrote your future in a single sentence. Whatever it was, it broke something fundamental inside you. Not disappointment. Total devastation. Your mind replayed the moment endlessly. The words. The tone. The look on their face. The second you realized something irreplaceable was gone forever. You kept thinking, how did I miss this? How did I not see it coming? Why didn't I protect myself? The pain wasn't just emotional. It was physical, a crushing weight on your chest. Breathing felt impossible. Your stomach churned, hollow, sick, unable to eat. Your hands trembled uncontrollably. Your body processed trauma in real time, flooding your system with cortisol and adrenaline, the physical manifestation of psychological catastrophe. And here is what matters. This is what death observed with absolute focus, recording every micro-response in your energetic field. In that moment, 99% of humanity collapses in one of three ways. Denial, rejecting reality entirely. Panic, total nervous system overload. Or numb dissociation, emotional shutdown to survive. These are automatic biological responses, designed to prevent psychological collapse. But you did something different. Something that shattered cosmic protocol. You took 3 slow, deep breaths, anchoring yourself in the present instead of fleeing into panic or denial. You cried if you needed to. You didn't block the pain. You allowed it to move through you completely. You felt everything, and sometime between 4 o'clock and 5 a.m., you said something out loud. Maybe you don't even remember saying it, but death recorded every word. This hurts more than I thought possible. I lost so much. But I'm not giving up. I'm continuing. This wasn't positivity. It wasn't denial. It was brutal acceptance paired with conscious resolve. Death experienced confusion, because in 6,000 years, it had rarely witnessed a human face total collapse without dissociation. You felt everything, you processed everything, and you continued functioning. Death registered this as a level 1 resilience anomaly and intensified its observation. Then came the second test. Days later, maybe a week, maybe 2, life challenged you again. An impossible decision stood in front of you. You know exactly which one. Every option was terrible. Every path involved loss. Maybe it was a relationship you loved deeply, but one that was destroying you slowly. Staying meant bleeding emotionally every day. Leaving meant unbearable guilt and loneliness. Maybe it was a financial decision. Choosing integrity over guaranteed safety. Doing the right thing risked everything. Compromising your values ensured comfort. Maybe it was a career leap, staying where your soul was dying or jumping into the unknown with no safety net. Or a confrontation, with a parent, a boss, an authority figure. Staying silent preserved stability. Speaking truth risked implosion. You spent days, maybe weeks, running scenarios obsessively. What if I do this? What if I don't? What if I lose everything? Your body lived in constant anxiety. Sleep vanished. Your appetite disappeared. Your mind replayed worst-case outcomes on loop. Everyone around you had opinions. Conflicting advice. Family said one thing, friends said another. But you knew, this decision was yours alone. And then, despite the terror, despite every reason to choose safety, you chose truth. Not comfort, not approval, integrity. You acted. The fallout was brutal, worse than expected. Losses arrived exactly as feared. Stability collapsed further. Everything you feared manifested. But death watched closely. You didn't dissociate. You didn't escape through addiction. You didn't collapse. You felt everything. You processed the loss. And you kept going, consciously integrating devastation without losing your essence. Death hadn't seen that level of clarity in nearly 30 years. It registered a level 2 resilience anomaly and escalated observation to maximum priority. Then came the third moment. The one that sealed your mark forever. Weeks later, at your lowest point, exhausted, depleted, every reason to quit, life tested you one final time. A commitment, a conversation, a responsibility. You had no energy left. No visible hope. Logic screamed retreat. But something deeper whispered beneath the fear. And you listened, not with false strength, not pretending you weren't broken. You showed up. You finished what you started. Not for glory, not for reward, because retreat would betray the essence you discovered when you chose truth. No audience, no applause, just you, exhausted, doing what was necessary. And death felt something it had only experienced 3 times before. Absolute reverence. Because it understood, you were no longer operating from survival fear. You were operating from a principle beyond extinction. At that moment, death accessed the cosmic archive, the Akashic records, and marked your file with a designation only 4 souls in 6,000 years have ever received. Level 7 consciousness. Transcended extinction fear under total forgetting. Premature death cancelled. Purpose protection activated. That mark is active right now. Accidents divert. Illnesses reverse. Probabilities reorganize. Intuition amplifies. Toxic people exit. Fear loses control. Your presence transforms others. And now you understand why. Before incarnating, your soul volunteered for a high-risk, high-impact mission. You chose suffering, not because you are masochistic, but because certain capacities can only be forged under extreme pressure. These souls are called catalyst souls, voluntary warriors, and a few weeks ago, you remembered, without memory, who you are. You passed the test you designed before birth, and death honored the agreement. So now you know the truth. Live without paralyzing fear, honor your integrity, complete your mission, and when completion arrives, death will come not as an enemy, but as a respected companion. Write 888 in the comments if you recognize yourself. Subscribe, activate notifications, and share this with someone who carries the same resilience. Together, we are stronger. There is one final layer to this that almost no one ever talks about. Not because it's unknown, but because it's rarely activated. When death marked you with maximum respect, it didn't just change your relationship with mortality. It altered how reality itself responds to you on a subtle, structural level. Here's what most people don't understand. Fear of death is the primary control mechanism of human consciousness. It doesn't just govern survival, it distorts perception, compresses creativity, and fragments intuition. The moment that fear dissolves, something radical happens. Your nervous system exits survival mode. And when a nervous system is no longer optimized for survival, it becomes optimized for creation. This is where your bonus activation begins. After the mark was placed, a secondary process initiated automatically. Death didn't just cancel premature exit, it recalibrated how pressure interacts with your consciousness. For most humans, pressure equals collapse. For you now, pressure equals compression into clarity. This is why challenges no longer scatter you the way they used to. You may still feel stress, fatigue, or emotional weight, but underneath it, there is an unshakable stillness. A silent knowing that says, I will not disappear from this. That internal stability is not psychological. It's structural. Your consciousness learned how to remain coherent while everything else fell apart. Once that skill is encoded, it cannot be undone. This is why you've likely noticed something strange over the past weeks. Moments that should have broken you, didn't. Situations that once caused spirals now resolve faster. You recover more quickly. You see further ahead. That's not healing. That's capacity expansion. Here's the part that matters most. When a being transcends extinction fear, death no longer needs to manage them the same way. The system reallocates oversight. Instead of monitoring you for exit timing, it begins monitoring you for impact potential. In simple terms, you are no longer tracked primarily as a mortal. You are tracked as a catalyst. That's why people you barely speak to feel changed after interacting with you. Not inspired in a motivational sense, reoriented. Their nervous systems subconsciously register your signal. Survival is not the highest priority. And when someone senses that, even unconsciously, it destabilizes the fear patterns they've been living inside. This is also why your words carry unusual weight now. You don't have to be eloquent. You don't have to convince. Even silence affects the room. You are broadcasting coherence in a world addicted to fragmentation. Now here's the warning, because this is the part no one prepares you for. Once the mark is active, life will accelerate alignment. Anything not congruent with your internal truth will begin collapsing faster. Jobs, relationships, identities, habits, especially the subtle ones you tolerated out of comfort or fear, will become increasingly uncomfortable. Not as punishment, as efficiency. The universe is no longer interested in gradual correction with you. You already proved you can survive collapse. So now reality stops cushioning you from it. This is why avoidance will feel unbearable going forward. The longer you ignore an intuitive directive, the louder the internal pressure becomes. Not anxiety, insistence. That insistence is purpose calling itself forward. And here's the final revelation of the bonus part. Death's respect doesn't make your life easier. It makes your life truer. Comfort is no longer the metric. Alignment is. If you lean into this, if you act when intuition signals, even when it disrupts your plans, you'll notice something remarkable. You are met halfway every single time. Support appears after movement. Resources follow commitment. Clarity arrives during action. This is the operating rule for marked consciousness. You move first. Reality responds second. That's how catalysts are designed. So if lately you've felt a quiet urgency, a sense that something must be done now, a pull toward creating, speaking, leaving, building, or ending something, that's not restlessness. That's the mark activating its final function. You are no longer here to simply survive this world. You are here to reconfigure it, one aligned action at a time. And the reason death stepped aside? It already knows you're not finished yet.